Welcome on board, Abhijit Roy, the MD and CEO at Berger Paints, joining in on the show right now. Abhijit, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show. Paint companies often use the GDP as a determinant for demand outlook. With the GDP growth now sub 5%, how worried are you about demand and eventually how long it may actually take to pick up?
So obviously, there is a linkage between GDP and demand. And hence, the primary purpose, as I expect, in the budget will be that they will do something to improve the demand scenario in the country.
Okay. What do you think is needed to be done in the budget this time to try and spur GDP and demand?
So one of the easier ways, there can be many ways of, improving demand, but, one which is easier, I think, is, to give some sort of a bigger tax break on investment in real estate. Because if investment, can be encouraged in real estate, it will probably also encourage, the construction industry, which is one of the largest employer as well after agriculture in India. So you have a double advantage, in terms of creating employment, and also kickstarting a large number of industries connected with the real estate industry.
Right. So wouldn't any tax off for real estate announced in the budget take time to flow through and reflect as higher demand for the paint industries thereof?
So there will be some amount of, so if people are sitting on the fences and waiting for the budget, and those will immediately go in and, invest. There will be some amount of traction also going forward, because, if they need to close, sales transactions by March, there might be, substantial investment happening in the short frame, of 1.5 to 2 months. So therefore, I think, it can give a boost to the overall demand scenario. It can give a feel-good factor as well. The sentiments also need to improve, and that might improve. And, overall, therefore, the demand scenario can be boosted in this way.
Right. So to what extent is your decorative demand and sales coming from new realty projects, and, how much is actually happening from repainting jobs?
It's very difficult to say exactly, how much it is, that is coming from new painting, because some of our dealers also sell to new painting projects. But approximately about 15-18% will be primarily be, new painting, and the rest will be repainting.
Right. So how effective is a cut in direct taxes as a tool to try and improve demand?
So direct tax cut is, obviously a quick fix solution. It will increase the demand for sure, because the disposable income goes up in the hands of consumers. But whether it will result in a demand pull for, products of our type, is difficult to say. But obviously, it probably might, encourage more impulse purchases and items of, immediate purchase. The thing is that, whether the government has that amount of money, and, whether they will be able to give that boost. If it is possible, of course, it will increase the disposable income.
Sure. So to summarize, what would be the top 5 announcements that you'd like to hear from the budget this time, your budget wish list?
So income tax rationalization, tax rates are on the higher side, if it can be rationalized, and, remove the exemptions as they have done for the corporate sector. They can look at, doing something of that type in the personal side also, in the personal income tax. So that's one, because that will give an immediate boost of demand. Demand is a primary issue today. People are not investing because, there are lesser demand. If the demand can be built up, then that will help. The second part is, as I said earlier, is giving some sort of a tax incentive for investment in real estate, because that has a multiplier effect. It impacts the entire construction industry. That's the second largest employer after agriculture. So it can boost employment and it can boost demand. So that can help. So that's the, second thing which possibly can. Third is, investing on infrastructure, which the government has already announced that they will invest about 1 lakh crore, which is a good thing to do. India anyway is, needs, infrastructure investment. And therefore, that these are the 3 things which I think are important in the order of importance.
Now, wall putty is also looking like quite an attractive segment. There's lots of new companies venturing. In this environment of weak demand for premium paints, do you think this could be a new growth opportunity? What's your sense?
So, we have been selling wall putty for years now, and it's a growing category, and it continues to grow for almost every company. So, along with that, we are also present. So, obviously, this is a segment which will be there in the near future as well. The premium category also has its own, growth which is happening. It's only the middle one which is getting squeezed a little bit, I think.
Right, now the industrial segment as well has been weak, autos the most, but other than that, which pockets have been the weakest? Are you seeing signs of a demand revival?
So auto, as you said, is the weakest, in the industrial segment. In fact, the protective coatings is pretty okay, it's growing reasonably well, probably driven by the infrastructure spending which is happening. But the automotive side is in bad shape. There has been a marginal improvement, but I won't say that anything great has happened so far as the auto industry is concerned, at least in the areas in which we are present. I am told that the passenger car category has improved better, but in commercial vehicles the trouble is still on. The industry is degrowing heavily. And also in the two-wheeler category, the growth has not come back. It is still negative as far as the two-wheelers are concerned.
And you've also taken some price cuts in the third quarter. 2020 has kick-started with a lot of volatility in crude oil prices. So how has all of this impacted your average raw material prices so far in Q4?
So there has been some amount of volatility, but see, the crude price increases doesn't get passed on immediately. It takes a lot of time, because the prices keep going up and down, and it stabilizes only after some time. So now there was this hit on Iran, and therefore there was this apprehension that the prices might go up. But now it seems that the demand has fallen a little bit, especially in China. So prices might again soften. So it's difficult to take a call at this stage unless it stabilizes at some higher level or lower level. We will not be affected so much.
Thanks so much for joining in and giving us a sense as to what exactly you expect from the budget as well as the outlook on demand.